We are born to be excellent, and we're born for evolution. We're wired to continually learn and grow in the respect of this innermost truth. The greatest single achievement of this life is to realize your divine nature. And it's the greatest tragedy to die without realizing it. I take those words to be true. And because I take those words to be true, I'm on a path of discovery in my life, so that one day at a time, I can touch into and feel into that divine nature within me. I've been trained to do it. I've been shown how to do it. Anybody can do it. Anybody can do it. But if you don't do it, then we fall into the illusion of the story of I'm not enough. Who's next? Okay, I see Andrea.
Hi, Tommy.
Hi, Andrea.
Okay, so my question is, how can I overcome self-doubt and remember that I am enough?
A succinct and beautiful inquiry. Thank you so much, Andrea. Any story or thought that you're not enough is based in untruth. At your core, you are divine. At your core, you are perfect. Illuminated. Pure light awareness. Purely enough. So to say that I'm not enough, or to feel that way, is based in a story that is not true. That means that the work that we're doing to come to the realization that we are enough as individuals, as a collective, as a human being, the work that we're doing is reductive, or maybe better word is subtractive. What has gotten in the way of us feeling into our true worth, our true nature, our true essence? Something. The mind, ideas. We learned things that were not true about ourselves, and we carried those stories forward in our life. And we stepped into a way of being in the world where we felt disconnected from our true nature, what we truly are. Our illumined self. Now, being somebody who may never have felt into their own divinity, one might say, well, I appreciate the words and then the idea that I'm perfect in my core, but I don't feel that. And yet I would say that just because you were able to ask this question, somewhere deep within you, you are able to feel it. Because the question implies, I'm not seeing things correctly. If I was seeing things correctly, I would be able to understand that in my core, there's divinity. And that my job perhaps is to access that and to work on removing the things that have gotten in the way of me recognizing and feeling into my own divinity, the divinity within each one of us. That sense of disconnection from our true self, to me, is at the core of the human condition, the challenge. We are born to be excellent. We are born to be excellent. And we're born for evolution. We are wired for evolution. We're wired to continually learn and grow. in the respect of this innermost truth, our job as human beings, like the greatest gift that we can experience in this world, was to realize our divine nature. And we have the capacity to do it. And it's been said, one of my teachers, Pandit Rajmani Tigonait, who runs the Himalayan Institute, he said that the greatest single achievement of this life is to realize your divine nature. And it's the greatest tragedy to die without realizing it. And I take those words to be true. And because I take those words to be true, I'm on a path of discovery in my life, so that one day at a time, I can touch into and feel into that divine nature within me. I've been trained to do it. I've been shown how to do it. Anybody can do it. Anybody can do it. But if you don't do it, then we fall into the illusion of the story of I'm not enough. I'm not enough. Now, in recovery circles, we say often on the topic of self-esteem, how can we build self-esteem? A sense of self-worth. So self-worth, let's say self-worth is the opposite of self-doubt, which is what you're asking about. How can we build self-esteem? And the answer is, well, we do esteemable things. We commit esteemable acts, and we build ourselves. We build our recognition of our innate value. Why does it feel good to do esteemable things? Because we're moving closer to the truth. Why does it feel so painful when we behave in a way that is not in alignment with what we truly are? Because it moves us further from the truth. I feel the more that I'm in this world of recovery, the more I feel that everything is about either moving towards the truth and living it, or being stuck in the old story and being, in an untruth, which is just so painful. When I was stuck in abject addiction, when I was doing drugs pretty much all day long, the total bandwidth of awareness that I had was, I'm uncomfortable. I'd like to get high. Or I'm excited. I'd like to get high. Let me go find a way to get high with some other people that also get high. Let me be high. And then I'm going to come down from being high, and I'd like to repeat that experiment again. And that's basically how I'm living. Living like that, I can't even begin to get into the discussion that you have brought up here with your very powerful inquiry. I'm not even thinking in a way like, wow, I wonder what the purpose of my life is. I wonder who I am. All I can think of is I'm in a craving of one kind or another, and I need to satisfy the craving. And the happiness and the joy that I experience from the addicted state, the happiness and joy comes only after I satisfy a craving. The relief that I feel by succumbing to a craving, I equate that to happiness and contentment in this life. So I know that for people who smoke cannabis every day, or people who use any kind of drugs, every day, that's going to influence the way that they're seeing their purpose in the world. For me, for example, the cannabis addict, like, I need to get high for whatever collection of reasons I say so. Maybe it's because I have pain and this is dealing with my physical pain, or I have emotional pain. This is helping me to change my emotional state, or I use this for spirituality and meditation. And so I need this for my spirituality and meditation. Whatever your reasons are, that's as broadly as you can think. I'm not aware beyond my relationship with this substance. It so dominates my reality. And so when you're in any relationship like that, that so dominates your reality, your awareness is incredibly limited. When your awareness is so limited, you become cut off from the very truth that we're trying to establish for ourselves and to connect with. That we are a child of God, of the Great Spirit, that the Spirit runs through us, that the cells of our body are fueled by that Spirit, that there are processes going on in our body that we don't even have to think of that are just taking place because they're part of the greater intelligence and the greater functioning of the universe. Outside of us, all the other people, all the other things, the trees, the plants, the planet, the rocks, everything, outer space, other planets, other galaxies, the cosmos, the universe, the multiverse. It's all going on. It's beyond us. And yet we are a part of all of it. But in addiction, all we can think of is, shit, I need to get high for whatever the reasons are. And that's where our awareness is. So we can't even get into this conversation, which is the conversation to be in. So I've said many times to people that recovery is simply a process of moving into better questions. We start asking better questions as we move along our process of discovery. And the exciting part of recovery for me is to start to ask the really juicy questions like you just asked. How can I move beyond doubt? Self-doubt. Think of the term itself. Self-doubt. I doubt myself. It speaks to a disconnection. It speaks to a lack of understanding of self. It's like saying, I doubt the existence of spirit. When all you have to do is look out the window at the tree outside, and you don't have to doubt the existence of something going on that's greater than you. To doubt the self is just simply to not have cultivated the relationship with self, with true self. And so the antidote is the healing modality is begin to establish relationship with self. How can we do it? We do it through the path of yoga. We do it ultimately through meditation, stillness, the cultivation of profound quiet. The mind settles, and we begin to connect with something that is real. Until that mind settles, we become identified with the stories. We become identified with the external world, what it tells us about us, whether that's a parent or a newspaper or some influence, some marketing, some advertising, something that told us we needed to be scared, something that told us we needed to buy this product. And if we don't buy this product, we'll remain scared, or this terrible thing will happen. So getting out from under the influences of the external, allowing the mind to settle. This is classic yogic technique and philosophy. Yoga tells us this. In the classical sutras, the classical scriptures of yoga, the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, which were compiled sometime around 2,300 years ago. The very first sutra is, yoga can now begin, essentially because we've stopped looking at the outside world to solve our problem. Yoga can now begin because we've turned our gaze inward. That's the first sutra. Second sutra is, it defines yoga. Yoga is the calming of the fluctuations of the mind. When the fluctuations of the mind stop, we will be in the state of yoga. What happens when that happens? We will reside, this is the language, we will reside in our true nature. When the mind stops fluctuating, we will reside in our true nature. What happens if the mind doesn't stop fluctuating? It tells us in the fourth sutra, it says, or we will become identified with the external world. How do we move beyond self-doubt? Turn your gaze inward. Develop a relationship with what is true. It's in here. It's not out here. We have to do this first, and then we will see the world more clearly. Otherwise, we see the world as we are, not as the world is. We have to become disidentified from the object world, turn the gaze inward, develop a connection with true self, and then we rest in our true nature. Our life becomes a flow from that point. Creative flow. Our intellect begins to expand. Our awareness begins to expand. We move beyond all addiction. We move beyond all addiction. Many people who experience this move into service. They become almost overcome with the desire to serve, and the service that they do does not deplete them. It energizes them. The more service that we do, by the way, we don't wait until enlightenment to be of service. The more service that we do, the quicker we move along our path. This has been shown to us through the millennia. Orient yourself towards service. Serve humanity, serve the planet. And if you serve with love, you'll be serving the Great Spirit. And your path is like it becomes your vehicle for moving along the path is like a rocket ship. It's the Kundalini Express, if you will, moving along at rapid speeds towards your fullest bloom in this life, your fullest destiny in this life. Before we have a practice where we can turn our gaze inward, before we know how to calm the mind, we'll be in a different discussion. I want more money. I want more sex. I want more things. I want to satisfy my ego's longings. Much more wise to satisfy the longing of the spirit, to connect. And this is a realization we're speaking about. We're not speaking about something you have to add to yourself. You have to move out the things that are in the way of you seeing what is already there. Now, I've known you for a little while. I used to receive your texts. You remember? You sent me texts? Yeah. And I look forward to those texts every day. I never thought, oh, here's an imperfect person sending me texts. What I thought was, if she could only see herself the way I see her. If she could only see herself the way God sees her. Because that's the truth of what and who you are. You are light. You are love. And yes, you are also human. That means you have challenges and you have confusion and you have, success and you have failure, you have health and you have sickness. You're going to experience grief and all of these things. And you're going to feel as a human being at times disconnected from your truth, which brings about this very inquiry. And so the solution is put yourself into the world in a serviceful way, as you are. Start to see the stories as what they are, untrue. There is only one story, and it is the story of existence itself, consciousness itself. And when you start to tap into that miracle, the miracle of existence itself, and the resentments and the expectations and all the things that could have been or should have been, all of that falls away. The mind calms down. You start to see your true nature. And once that happens, it won't be challenging for you to meditate. It'll be the place you want to spend most of your time. But you can't, because you want to be of service to the world. So you'll do your meditation practice and you'll go out and be of service to the world in the way that only you could possibly be, in your body, in your personality, in your experience. There's only one Andrea that has ever been. This is it. This is the one and only expression of you as you currently are now. And it's the same for me, and it's the same for everybody else. What will we do with this gift? We'll have to work out our resentments. We'll have to work out our lack of forgiveness for ourselves. We'll have to work out our misunderstanding. And we'll develop the one relationship that matters more than anything else. You are your own soulmate. And you'll have to realize that. And once you realize that, then you just get to live in love. Without any object to that love, just love itself. I'm in love. How are you? I'm in love. Oh, who are you in love with? Oh, no, I don't think you understand. I'm just in love. I'm just in love. I'm in a soup of love all the time. And that's the place to be. Most people, I think, are so cynical, or so beaten down, or so traumatized, or so intoxicated that they don't believe this is true. They don't believe such a thing is possible. So slow down, calm down, sit down, cool down, quiet down, practice. See yourself. See yourself. Connect, realize, and then operate from that place. Dash the stories, the dishonest stories, dash them away one by one. If the core truth, if anything that I'm saying makes sense, the core truth of you is divine. If that's true, then all these other stories are nonsense. One by one, let them go. Do esteemable things in the world. And you'll start to feel into this space beyond doubt. And you'll be connected to the truth. And you'll be free. And I think anything else is not worth shooting for. Let's shoot for that. In this thing called recovery, this thing called life. Let's shoot for that. Tell me what comes up for you.
Just immense gratitude.
Mm.
Yeah. What can I say? You're right. It's those stories, and I'm so grateful for being part of this community, and your book that really woke me up a lot. And what you're saying. Thank you.
Thank you, Andrea. Well, just love you so much. And I love the inquiry so much. And it could be one of the most important ones that I've ever heard, because who is coming back from addictive behavior that doesn't have self-doubt, that isn't disconnected from the truth? All of us, we're living the most profound lies. We didn't even know which questions to ask. We're just living in a very, very small way. And it's a question like this, which seems so simple, and so you asked it so succinctly. But this is the question. This is the question we want to be working on every single day.